Alright everyone, so today I'm going to talk about what you should know about AppleCare, as well as what to expect when taking in your product for service at the store or authorized repair center. So let's begin. One of the bigger misconceptions about AppleCare is that they're going to cover you for accidental damage or anything that happens to your product that happens to be your fault. And that is not the case at all. Now, an example of this would be the last time when I brought my laptop to the store. I was having it fixed, and this lady comes in with a $500 iPhone in one hand, and she has her AppleCare service agreement. Walks up to a genius and says, you know, I bought the AppleCare. I dropped my iPhone in the water, and now it's not turning on. You know, asked the genius guy, you know, can you fix it for me because I bought the warranty for it. And the genius had to look at her and say, you know, we'll fix it for you, that's not a problem, but you're going to have to pay for the repair. The AppleCare is not going to cover this repair for you, I'm sorry. And she started to get upset about it and wanted to talk to the manager, and she wasn't happy. But the moment she said that she dropped her iPhone in the water and it broke, that's what did her in, and that's where she went wrong. Because one of the first paragraphs of the terms of service in AppleCare clearly states that if you mess it up, or if you break it, or if it's done by abuse, neglect, accident, or act of God even, AppleCare is not going to cover the repair. And the genius guy was completely right in saying that, you know, she would have to pay for it, because when you buy it and when you read the fine print, that's what you agree to. So that's just one of the first things that should be cleared out about AppleCare, is that it doesn't cover accidental damage. You know, if you run over your laptop with a truck, or if you throw your iPhone in the water and you break it and you tell them about it, they're not going to fix it for you. So that's the first thing. Another thing that should be known is that things that are cosmetic in nature, they're generally not going to fix. So, for example, if your kid starts hammering on your MacBook Pro or your PowerBook G4, dents the aluminum, but everything else still works. You know, you still have all your keys, you can plug it in, it charges. If you have scratches on your iPod or scratches on your iPhone, but if it works fine in any other fashion, then generally speaking, they're not going to fix it. And you know, they even said that to me, because last time I was there, there's some scratching on the like on the underside and on the bottom of my case, and you know, there's just everyday nicks and scratches on my MacBook. And I said, you know, since I'm here, can you guys just take off the external enclosure and, you know, replace it for me? And they said, well, unless, you know, pieces of the case start flaking off or chipping off, don't worry about it. And they just let me have it the way it is. So that's another thing, is, you know, if you buy an expensive MacBook Pro, MacBook Air, or even a MacBook, it's really in your favor or in your benefit to buy at least a good case for it, or a sleeve. You know, you want to keep your products looking as new as possible, because they're not going to fix it. And it clearly says also that they don't cover cosmetic damages, only stuff that affects the usability of the product. So that's just one other thing to keep in mind with the AppleCare. Now, when you actually get past all of that, and when you actually start, say you give them an iPhone, an iPod, or anything that contains data on it, like a computer, one of the first things that they're going to have you sign off when you send it in for repair is a waiver of liability pertaining to your data. And what it says is that basically, once it's in their hands, they have the full right and full expectation that it may come back to you freshly reformatted, and you're not going to have anything left on it. And that's also another good reason why it's very important to have backups of everything. And as I've shown before, that's why I have 2 hard drives. That's why I have 3 spindles of DVDs, and that's why I have a lot of data management going on, is just in case I ever have to send in my laptop to the shop and they have to reformat it, I still have all my data available to me, and once it's in their hands, it's their free will to reformat and get rid of your data. So that's another thing to understand when sending your product into the shop to get fixed. In addition to that, one of the terms of repair also states that any parts that are swapped out, for example, if your hard drive dies, if they have to swap it out, they get to keep the hard drive that died. You get the new hard drive that's working, and it's going to be cleanly reformatted. So anything such as data, hard drives, or let's say you get a CD stuck in the super drive. If that's your favorite CD and it's stuck in there, and they pull it out and they replace your super drive, don't expect to get the original disc back. They're not going to do it for you. They may if they're nice, but generally speaking, you know, if it's stuck in the drive, they're going to keep it and they're just going to throw it into the trash. So, you know, keep that in mind. If it's really important or if you really need it, then you should back it up before it goes into the shop. Try and get that disc out. Just do whatever you need to do to make sure that your data and your security and your data integrity is intact before it goes into the store, because once they have it, it's fair game. And finally, one thing that I always like to do is, if you've done any upgrades to the laptops, for example, one of the reasons why I bought a MacBook is because I know I can just pull out the hard drive whenever I need to. So in case it does go back into the store, I just give them the stock 60 gig hard drive that they gave me, pull out my 120 that comes home with me, I pull out my memory, and I just give them back you know, the cheap RAM that came with the machine. Because you never know, I mean, if you spent money on a RAM upgrade or a hard drive upgrade, you know, there's always a chance that something could happen in the back of the store or at the repair depot, and you know, there is always a chance that they're going to misplace something and you're not going to be happy. I mean, for me in my instance, for example, I spent close to $200 on upgrading the RAM on this machine. That was about 2 years ago when the RAM was still pretty expensive. But knowing that beforehand, before I send this in, before this goes into the shop, I'm just going to put in the stock RAM, stock hard drive. And any money I put into the machine is going to come home with me, so I don't have to worry about it. So that's just another thing to keep in mind. If you have a MacBook Pro, the only thing that you should be tampering with is the RAM. You know, pull out any extra RAM sticks. The hard drive, not really easily replaceable, so you shouldn't have to worry about that. Alright, so just a couple things to keep in mind when getting your repairs done, buying the AppleCare. Overall, it's a pretty good program. Still recommend it, especially for the laptops. Alright, so that's about it. Peace.